Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Craziness, craziness with this financial markets. 8:25 a.m. It is March 13th, 2023. You have to be hiding under a rock to not know what's going on with SVB, Signature Bank in New York. Just crazy. The Fed basically doing some bailout here. Kind of crazy. It's making the markets do crazy stuff. It's kind of like changing the Fed funds rate. It's kind of pricing in now. The Fed might even pause because something's being broken. So a lot of stuff going on. Just a ton of stuff. It's just insane. Very insane. Um, let's get into the watch list first. The VIX. Check this out. Unbelievable. The VIX is up 17.42%. The VIX is trading at 29 right now. Ether and Bitcoin are destroying it right now. They're up 11.64% and almost 11%. Wow, look at silver is up 4.56%. Metals are going to see some definite buying now. What else? Bonds being bought, 30-year bonds. Right, that's buying long-term bonds, right? Gold's up. Nasdaq's up 0.23. The dollar is down slightly, down 0.36. ES is down 0.44. The Dow is down 0.67. Okay, Russell is down 1.36%. Crude just got hammered. It is down 5.36%, down to $72 a barrel, $72.56 a barrel. The straddle I put on like a week ago or so, finally was able to take that off for a nice profit today. The 10-year yield is down 5.79%. This was at 4 point something last week. This is at 3.48 now. Okay, so it was like the biggest drop since like 1981. Okay, let's get into what's happening here. So, leaders and laggards. Let's talk about Meta. Meta is going to have more layoffs. That's the only, like, I would say, leader I would speak of. Meta, that's up 1.3% pre-market, right? And laggards, we have no surprise here. Morgan Stanley down 1.31%. Coin, very interesting, because coin earlier when I got up early in the morning was up with Bitcoin, but now it's down 1.59% pre-market. Tesla got a downgrade. It's down 2.27%. That's just getting hammered lately, Tesla. And Qualcomm, it's up 0.57. I wouldn't say there's some news on Qualcomm. So, and let's go to the laggards here. Top sectors. JP Morgan was up on Friday, but now it's down 1.23%. Goldman Sachs down 1.73%. Roblox down 1.92%. Crude getting hammered, no surprise. Chevron and Exxon down 2.2% and 2.3%. Okay. So, from that, the sectors that are going to be weak are going to be energy and financials. But let's look at any leader. Communications would be the only, and that's not much of a leader, right? That's because of Meta. And what do we have here? Financials down 2.55%. Energy down 2.58. Okay. Now, a lot of news this week. Well, a lot of news we already talked about, right? And why you ask the Russell, right, is down so much more is because Russell kind of goes with what KRE, which is a regional bank ETF. Okay. that pretty much is going to push regional banks Russell around. That's why the Russell is so weak. So I'm going to probably be looking at the Russell for some trades. Okay. Um, let's get into some news. There's some additional news. So let's see here. So we already know about the Fed bailout, right? Now talked about the rate freezes, right? So headline banking stocks still falling despite rate freeze bets, right? Because now we're talking about the Fed might not be, we have to see, right? Let's look really quickly at the Fed funds rate. So this is pretty interesting now. So current rate, we're at 4.5 to 4.75. This is called 4.5, right? So March 22nd, there's a 38% chance now there's no rate, there's nothing done. It's a pause. And a 61% of a quarter point, a 25-point basis hike. Now that's totally different. That's why the yields are going changing. All right. Totally different now. Before it was a 25-point basis hike or a 50, and the 50 was getting more percentage. But now it's a pause or a 25-point basis hike. So very interesting change of guard there, right? Going back to the news, right? Pfizer is acquiring Seagen, so Pfizer is going to be going down and Seagen is going up. One thing here, crypto breathes a sigh of relief. Now it says one asset class with ambiguously positive reactions to the weekend's developments was crypto. Some of the biggest depositors of the two banks that were rescued were Coinbase and USD Coin. So, and then oil on fears of the economy, OPEC plus output held up in February. I also saw that Biden is going to start drilling in Alaska. So that's pretty interesting too. Okay. Some other news. Let's get into it really quickly. Let me see if I can make this. Just wanted to show some here. So Roku. Okay. Roku, streaming devices maker Roku said it has 487 million, or 26% of its cash and cash equivalents, held in deposits with SVB Financial, which has been closed down by California banking regulators. Roku, in a regulatory filing, also said its deposits were with SVB were largely uninsured, sending its shares down 10% in extended trading. All right, so that's pretty interesting. Also, Signature Bank closed in New York. Okay, so thought that was interesting news. Um, let's see here what else I saw. This is the news what I talked about earlier. ConocoPhillips, U.S. President Joe Biden's administration will approve a major and controversial oil drilling project in Alaska on Monday. Very interesting, right? Boeing also just closed a deal. Saudi Arabia's public investment fund is close to the deal to order the company's commercial jets for the fleet of a national airline. So that's pretty good. And then Pfizer, here's the company said it would buy Seagen for about 43 billion. So, and then the Qualcomm thing was Qualcomm looks to Europe court again to overturn any trust fine. All right. So, now let's get into the what our economic calendar is going to be this week, right? So we have CPI tomorrow, huge, right? Now, normally I would say we're not going to do nothing today, but CPI is around the corner tomorrow, which is huge. Okay, you got a Fed speaker tomorrow, but that's after the market. Wednesday, we have crude inventories, you have retail sales, PPI. Okay, on Wednesday. Thursday, we have housing starts, initial jobless claims, Philly Fed. Okay, Friday, we have Michigan consumer sentiment. Okay, so big CPI, PPI. Obviously, this financial news is like shaking the markets, right? Um, let's get into the charts here. Let's talk about that, right? Let's go. Also, let me just talk about upgrades. JP Morgan actually got an upgrade this morning. Um, Even though it's down. What else? And Tesla already talked about that. That was downgraded. Yeah, so that's that. All right. I talked about crude. All right, let's get into daily chart here. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 sec while I just resize this for you guys. Alrighty, let's get into this now. All right, obviously, the market ripped. Okay, so I changed the fib. It broke all the fibs. So now I have a fib coming from this high down to this low. Okay, because now we have to look at that. Now, let's talk about the anchor VWAPs. I've been talking about that for a while. The yellow is the low in October. We finally broke that anchored VWAP, right? That was resistance. So it was support one day, resistance, and now we broke it. That just means the average buyer from these lows are underwater. Average buyer. Okay, that's big. Okay, from this low, the average buyer, the volume weighted average price is underwater. Okay, that's very important. Okay, also, the average seller from the all time highs is now pretty good, right? We're underneath this, and this is the FOMC. This is the last time the market ripped higher, right? That's why I put it here. Now, the average buyer from the FOMC low is underwater. Okay, institutions use these. That's why I use these. Okay, so that's that, right? Now let's get those off. We don't need to see those in the screen. Okay, so what do we got going here? We came down to a level here, right? This is the top of this range down here. It's basically the top of it, around, you know, a roundabout estimate on the top of that range. Okay, so we came down there, pushed off a little bit. Okay, broke the 100-day, the 200-day, cleared it big time. All right, now this is our next area down here, right? We got 377.83 down here. That probably be the next area we'll test. Okay, all the moving averages are behind us now. Let's go to the Qs. Qs is a very different picture. So this is the fib. I'm still using this, right? From these lows. From these lows to this high, right? So on Friday, look, we came right down where? 50% Fibonacci. Right there. Look at that. And that's like 287.04 or something like that. Okay? So we broke the 50-day moving average. And we came right to the 50% Fibonacci. Also, this 288.52 level kind of closed there. Okay? This was prior support and resistance right here. So you can see the Qs came right to this swing low and held. So this swing low had to break it for the market to really go down. But the Qs held it. Well, now the Qs are like at 287. They're like at the almost the lows of Friday. Right? They're stronger right now. Why are they stronger? Because Qs really doesn't have any financial components of it. It's mainly tech. Okay, it's mainly tech. That's why I talked about the Russell. Okay, that's why I talked about the Russell. Because the Russell in KRE, which is regional bank ETF, that's why the Russell is looking horrendous. So now in the Russell, I drew a fib. Okay, now down from this high to this low. And the Russell just, man, oh man. You had this support level here, about 186. Came down to this level, perfect to under the 181, down to 200-day moving average, and just ripped. Gapped lower and ripped. All the way down here, which is kind of like what the SPY is doing to this range down here. Okay, no surprise that it came down there. All right, but now the IWM with all this financial stuff is down to 172.74. It's all the way down here now. It's down here now. 172.74 is about right here. That's where that market is now. If I put up a volume profile here, and we'll go to the extended hours to show you, there's the Russell. IWM's down here now. So okay, so that's a very important level. Let's look at the, you can see it on a a monthly chart here. So these monthly lows are basically going to be break those. Oof, you don't got much down here until about 163. So I'm going to keep your eye on the Russell, because the Russell's going to really do what those regional banks are doing. Okay. All right, let's go to the triple-headed monster here, because this is very interesting right now. Look at that. Jesus, that is crazy. Look at these yields. They were up here. The high of that day was 4.09%. The yields, look at this. It went dropped all the way down to this support level. The 200-day moving average. It whipped. Look at that. Gap down. Gap down. Crazy. People are buying these. Okay. Buying bonds right now. Okay. Let's look at TOT. Okay, gapping up, TLT, right? So, craziness. All right, VIX, another one. Look at the VIX. My God. Ripping, ripping. So volatility is going to be nuts today. Okay? It's over 30. let me just tell you something about the VIX. When it's at 16% or 16, right? The VIX the VIX usually says when it's about the VIX is at 16, you can expect a 1% move. There's some big orders going on right now. Getting hearing alarms going off. Hence probably why the VIX is rising like this. Um, the NQ has just gotten weaker. I just heard it in my headphones. Um, it's now down. So we'll go back to that when we go to the market profile. Okay, volume profile. But VIX, just to give you a little tidbit here, when it's at 16, you can expect a 1% move. When it's at 32, you can expect a 2% move in the market. We're at 30. So that is that is very significant, okay? So once you hit 32 in the VIX, you can expect a 2% move. We're at 30.32 right now. So if you're whatever size you're used to trading with, I would suggest taking it down a little bit because the whippiness today is going to be nuts. The volatility is going to be nuts. I know I probably can't trade the Nasdaq today because it's just going to be crazy. Okay. So that's the VIX. Okay, that's huge. So the dollar. Let's look at the dollar. Dollar's down, right? Down to 104. Hit this 103.90, broke it, came above it. Okay. Crude caught a bit, I guess, at a certain level. Okay, let's get into what's going on, what happened Friday, real quick, into the with volume profile, market profile. Okay. So I'm just seeing some news popping up that I just saw. Give me 1 second here. I'm seeing some news right now. U.S. Treasury 2-year briefly falls below 4%, lowest since early October. Last down 56 basis points at 4.03. Let's see. Traders see only 50% chance of a half-point hike. I talked about that. And then it's talking about the volatility index rises 21% to 30. Just what I was just showing you. I just wanted to see what latest news I had. Okay, let's get into. You can see the Nasdaq now is under 1.3%. The last time I just talked, okay, it was up. We're gonna get to that. All right. So let's look. Let's look here at this market. Now this is gapping down now. Okay. And there is no leaders no more in this market. Earlier I talked about Meta. That is not a leader anymore. It is down 1%. This market is ripping to the that's why this VIX just rocketed. Okay. So let's look at this, okay? And this is before CPI, so CPI, it doesn't even almost matter at this point. So let's get my marker out. Now a lot can change from me talking now till 9:30, so I might just have to do a broad. Hold on a sec. Just give me 1 second here. So we're gapping lower. Okay, so now, if you're futures trade, let me explain one other thing. Okay, which I didn't say before. We're gonna have quad riching on this Friday. Okay, futures are in the middle of a rollover. Okay, so on Friday, 4 things are expiring: future contracts, futures options, index options, and stock options. So that's why they call it quad witching on Friday. Okay. So currently, what you see on my chart, if you went on TOS, think or swim, you wouldn't see my numbers because they rolled theirs over to the next contract in futures. I kept on this contract until I see more volume in the contract, the next contract. That's when I change my charts over. But right now, I'm sticking to the contract that would have been traded on Friday. So my levels are going to be different if you use TOS, think or swim. Okay, just giving you that thing. So my levels still stay the same from last week. Probably will change as more volume pours into the next contract. Okay, so we're getting a bounce now. Okay, but right now we're at 38.20 in the ES. Okay, let's look at this now. The low 38.46 on Friday. The high 39.35. Okay. Now check out this. Now the market did open up strong after the Fed was bailing out SVB, right? And we broke only by a little the high on Friday in the overnight right here. So 39.38 was the high, and then that changed. You see all the volume here overnight, right? Well, that all changed because they just got crushed. Now the price is down here. Now you're gapping. Okay, you're gapping lower. So we all know what I'm going to say now. If you keep watching, if you watch me, whenever there's a big gap like there is now, the only thing you can do is look at the gap. The gap fills here. Okay, and it's either we're going to do a couple things here. We're going to gap and we're going to go. So that's just like opening and just running right into this demand zone, right? And the question is, how strong is the selling? We're obviously really strong with the VIX, right? That's obvious. But what you want to look at today is gap and go is very bearish. Is the most bearish outcome, right? Another bearish outcome is, let's say the market opens, fails to fill the gap, and starts to roll. That's also bearish. Okay. Next one is fill in the gap. But then if it fills the gap, that's also another place a lot of traders would look to get short. And that's also bearish. So that has to tell you from the market generated information that bears are in control. We already kind of know that they're in control overall, but we're talking about for the morning, right? Now, how would you know, oh, okay, maybe we can get a little rally here? Well, number one thing would be to fill the gap. Okay, that's already going okay. And then the only thing you have to worry about now is if we fill the gap and we start to go into Friday's range. Okay, that would mean, okay, the sellers are not as strong right now, and it doesn't mean we're not going to sell off eventually, but it just means that, okay, we might go back into range. We might test the most traded price from Friday right here. You can see the big volume that was here. Okay, that's what you have to look at. Big gaps are very hard to trade. That's why I put that layout. That's how you look at it. So I'm gonna wait to see what scenario plays out with the gap. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm seeing a weak high here. Okay, so 39, around 39, 38, 39, 35. That is a very big level in the ES. Okay, that's a very big resistance level, and I'm going to go into that shortly. Why that is? Well, you can see it here, but there's also another measurement here. And I'll just do it here. I have it on the charts more visually thing, but I'll just do it here. So if I take a fib from this high. Why didn't I get the fib there? Around this high here, bring it down. Now this is the low, but this was the low earlier. Weren't gapping down, so just keep this in mind. This is a Fibonacci. Okay, look at the 50% retracement. I purposely make it a dotted red line so I can really see it, right? Well, that's where all this resistance is. So check that out. All from this move, because this was the low at the point. So it was resistance and then resistance right here. And also, like I said, that 39.35 area. Okay, so that's what would make me think, ooh, like if we get above this, you could get a pop up to the 200-day into the I just wanted to show you, visualize that because that's what the Fibonacci, right to that level, right? So that's what so let's just look for what I'm going to look for today. Let me try to be very patient today. So if we do get the gap fill, we really have to see how the market reacts to that, right? That's probably a short down to this overnight low. Really have to look at it because it's going to be very volatile. So, all right, I'm not interested in a long. Until we break these levels up here. Okay. This market's going to be very hard to read. All right, so let's look at that NASDAQ, because the NASDAQ has really changed since. Look at this, boy, did it change, right? So now, I'm very passionate on Friday about my level of 121, right, in the NASDAQ. Well, look what happened. Where's that overnight high? 120.95 in this mother of levels here. Remember, I talked about that on Friday. I said, look at that level, watch it, because we have here, couldn't get above it. On Friday, we came into it, rejected it, and again came into it again and got rejected. So that's all you have to know with the NASDAQ right now. Now the NASDAQ's getting a monster bounce right now. It came all the way down here. Here's the overnight low. Here's the overnight high. Here's Friday's high. Friday's low. Okay? It is almost back into range. Okay, it's almost back into range. It broke the 100-day moving average in the futures, but now it's going above it. Okay, got a lot of single prints. See how thin that volume is? Okay. So this is going to make this market tricky, right? Because NASDAQ doesn't have financials. So there's that gap. Okay. All you need to care about for me, if I want to go long, I got to break above this, hold it, and really break above this for me to even want to consider long. So the play is on the NASDAQ because you just have that monster level, right? Really the play is, for me, what I'm going to wait for, hopefully it comes, is a move. If we do get a move higher, okay, if we do come up here, there's supply zone right here with the monster level, with the monthly VWAP, okay, with the 9 daily EMA here. Remember, but I want to see this tested and tested. If it fails, you have to. This is a beautiful short, okay, because now's the time to sell the rips, because there's just a lot of cross currents going on now. So this, I don't know if people are pricing in a Fed pause, right? So this is just a crazy market to read. So there's a lot of stuff that I have to read off the open to see what the sectors are doing, the stocks are doing, to really be confident in something, right? I'm not really confident. I have to really see what the market's showing me, okay? But that's one trade I would have to be looking for, right? And that's probably, because this is already going into the range now. This is about to. You got single prints right here. So Nasdaq's going to be tough because it has no financial component. So very hard to read stuff right now. And we got oil just that tanked. Right, and I can show you oil really quickly. You can see what oil just did. Oil ripped down. Now it's at 72. So oil is just wow, right? That just ripped down. So, um, so yeah, I'm gonna be looking at a bunch of stuff today. Obviously, IWM, KRE, which is that regional bank ETF. Um, some financials with the JPM, Goldman Sachs, and just see, because it's very hard what to read right now. Okay, but you do have coins down 2.73%. Tesla's down 3.19%. Okay, those are the laggards to speak of. Those are the big ones. Snow's down 1.87, but like the big ones are coin and Tesla. Okay, nothing positive to speak of. I really have to see. Really have to see. All right. I hope you learned something, or at least got something from my stream today. Give me a comment, like, or subscribe. Share if you can with anybody. Retweet me. Um, I don't know why, but I don't know if Colby's watching. I don't know why I did not get notifications of your when you reached out to me on Twitter. I didn't even get the notifications I look for. I didn't even get it, but I happen to see it because I have TweetDeck. So I gave you, that's my Twitter handle, but I gave Colby's watching. I gave you my Anchor VWAP indicator from Thinkorswim. So, and hopefully you received that. And besides that, everybody have a good day. Be patient. Today's going to be nuts. The VIX is close to 30. So it's going to be a wild day. Okay? Wild day. And hopefully everybody stays green, stays patient. If it's too crazy for you, stay on the sidelines. But this should be interesting this day. And I'll update something if I find something that I think that's needs to be noted. All right? Hope everybody has a good day. All right? I'll see you guys tomorrow if I don't do an update.